Chapter 2, Childhood Wounds and Lasting Scars. So I opened this scene with my dad running across the room to rub my nose in my urine-soaked mattress because I had peed the bed. And he was just furious. I was going to be that dog that got its nose rubbed in its own piss to help me stop pissing in the bed. How freaking delusional. So again, my dad was a piece of work. He was a very disturbed man in a lot of different ways. And get ready for chapter 6 because that might blow your socks off. But it was almost like he took satisfaction into making our lives miserable. He was really, really cruel. Alcoholic. He smoked. He was a womanizer. I would probably say serial rapist. So anyway, my dad and mom married young. They had a dilapidated shack that we grew up in. My mother still lives in the house. One bathroom, 4 bedrooms upstairs, tiny, tiny house. And nothing's changed in the last 35 years. So my parents had 5 of us. And in the book, I go into each sister's personality from my oldest sister, who is great. She got stuck into a very unique situation when she was 11. She had to become our primary caretaker because my dad raped our babysitter and got her pregnant, but it wasn't his fault. This 15-year-old homely woman was just young late teenager was hitting on him. Poor him, right? Yeah. So he couldn't refuse her advances. Okay. Yeah. That's what we were fed. Mm-hmm. And none of us dared to say anything. Actually, that's a whole nother story in itself. So reach out to me if you want more on that. But my dad was very abusive as well. He made us fear him like no other. And he was very calculated in his ways to make us feel insignificant. There were, and I put this in the book, so I'm going to talk about it here, but when our cats would have kittens, he would wait until they were weaned off the mother and then have us all follow him outside so he could take the kittens by the hind legs and hit them against the building, our shed, to murder them. Yeah, we had to endure that. We were all dying because these fucking kittens were being killed. Yes, not that we could have kept them, but we could have given them away. They could have went to somebody's farm because we lived in the freaking country in the middle of nowhere. There was a lot of barns we could have dropped the cats off to, but didn't want to inconvenience anybody. Didn't want to burden anybody. So let's just force all these girls to watch me murder these little kittens. Another time he had brought home blood sausage. Yeah, we were all laughing. Who the hell is eating blood? Who the fuck is eating blood sausage? Not me. Yeah, because it all got put on our plates and we were all told, whoever throws up will eat their vomit. His threat was very real. Very, very real. Yep, anybody that puked would be eating their vomit. And I'm a witness to him doing that one time to my older sister. Yep, she had thrown up. She had to eat her puke in front of company who actually stopped him from, making her eat her own vomit. Yep, that's what we were living. And then one time, which I discuss here in the book as well, he was beating the shit out of my mother. So my mother had called, yes, he was drunk, enraged, whatever. My mother had called my grandfather. He came over. He beat the ever-loving fucking shit out of the man. I was terrified because I was a kid and, I had never seen that. I had seen violence, obviously, because I lived with him, but I had never seen him get his ass kicked, and even as a kid, I was like, but I was scared, because I literally thought my grandfather was going to kill him, which he threatened. Put your hands on Jane again. You're going to go 6 feet under and nobody is ever going to find your body. I felt like that threat was very, very real. And my father took it to heart too because he never put his hands on my mother again. He used verbal abuse, but from that day forward, I never seen him touch her again, which was good for her. But, obviously it was very traumatic. Um, let me see. What else do we have in here? So we've talked about the babysitter. Yeah. And reach out to me if you want more on that. And then, oh yeah, this is where I actually had a lot of freedom because what happened was my dad got the babysitter pregnant because he didn't make enough money to support a family of 7. So my mom had to go to work, surprise. And in her working is where the babysitter came into play. But then, the babysitter was hitting on him. Oh, poor guy. And, he just so happened to knock her up, even though he came home multiple times a week to have relations with her, and we could say nothing. We said nothing. She couldn't do anything. We couldn't do anything. Talk about a fucked up situation. It was bad. It was really, really, really bad. And my mom stayed with him. Why, do you ask? Yeah, my mom stayed because 1, she was scared of him. He would have probably killed her had she left. But 2, she had no self-love. She had no self-worth. Like, he was a predator and he picked his women very, very calculated, with a very, very smart calculation because he knew what he was doing. And any woman that was kind of beyond his touch, he might throw a bone out there to see what kind of response he got, but it was pretty quick that, yeah, no, go fuck yourself, so it was good that all that happened. And then just another little tidbit on that is he was very well known in the community. So I think it would have been an embarrassment for her to leave, even though we needed to leave. Even when he would get pulled over for drinking and driving, they would call my mother to come and get him instead of they would take him to jail. They just wouldn't book him into the jail. They would just call my mother so he could continue working because, he had this great big loving family that he had to support. I hope you feel my sarcasm as I talk into this camera. So my points to ponder are the scars that shape us. Childhood wounds don't just fade with time. They rewrite our nervous system. It was a lot of rewriting that I had to do. Yep. They're the roots of every why do I do this in our adult lives, So what is your earliest memory of feeling powerless and where does it stay in your body? So I'm still a work in progress in one area, which we'll get to. And I'm going to get there. It's taken me some time, but I feel like I've come so far. When did you first learn to disassociate to survive? I was probably like 3, maybe 2. Like, I don't remember those early years. I don't remember much. But the memories that I do have are not good ones. The narcissistic playbook. A tyrant does not need a throne, just a family to terrorize. We were his family. My father's cruelty was his oxygen. The public humiliations, the calculated betrayals, the way he turned even our mother's love into a weapon. So what distorted lessons did your childhood abuser drill into you? Love means control, pain is deserved. Yeah, if you're still struggling with some voices in your head, hopefully we'll get there and we'll just quiet those voices. Silence as survival. We knew better to say anything at any point to anyone. Like, you weren't going to fucking school to let anybody know. You weren't going to a counselor or our neighbor or whatever. Like, you weren't doing that. With all the people that were partying at our house when we were young, nobody said anything. In all actuality, and this is off topic, this is not in the book. My father actually hooked the babysitter up with a cousin of ours so that he could take the blame for getting her pregnant. Problem is he was a little young, so a little shy. He didn't have those moves yet, so he never had sex with her. So that was a big backfire. Yeah, because he wasn't going to take responsibility for his actions ever, ever, ever. People call survivors strong, but no child chooses resilience. We clawed our way out of that house not because we were brave, but because giving up was not an option. So, what's the difference between the strength you admire and the survival that you resent? When has just getting through it stopped being enough? Breaking the spell. He made us believe chaos was our only reality, that peace and joy and laughter was just something you got on an occasion, that wasn't the daily norm. Even though, and my mother will tell you this, I was the happiest child out of 5, and I was that spark of light. I was considered my father's favorite just because I was cute as a button. And I was like, I fucking hate being his favorite. Like, I detest him. Like, he grosses me out. Like, something is seriously wrong with this dude. And you want me to be his favorite? Fuck no. Fuck no. The unanswered questions, which I hope I alluded to earlier. Why did my mom stay? She was scared. And she wasn't going to leave him, even though she was scared. Even though she was scared, she still was not going to leave him. I have nothing for that. Like, I have no answer. I've been compassionate towards her. I've been very uncompassionate towards her. But these are her choices that she made. And she made her bed. She lived in it. Wasn't anybody else's responsibility. Like, she was going to choose to be with him, and which is evident even after what he did to me. Chapter 6. So how did he evade all these consequences? That is a great fucking question, because I don't know. So people always talk about karma, and this is off topic. I don't believe in karma, because if any but karma could have bit him in the ass, it should have bit him in the ass. He should have been imprisoned for life. He should have been jailed on multiple occasions, and he wasn't. How did he get away with all of this shit? Why wasn't he ever held responsible for any of the bullshit that he did? Your guess is as good as mine. So, karma, you fucking talk karma until you're blue in the face, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe that. And I used to think that, but I was just like, no, he's opened my eyes to a whole nother world that I didn't know existed, where you could just fuck up consistently your whole fucking life and get away with it. He did. Now you might say, well, he got cancer and he died because that's how he died. Because he fucking smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day and he finally got lung cancer and croaked at 58. He did that to himself. He did that to himself. That wasn't karma. That was him smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day. So anyway, I think I've summed up chapter 2. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment. I will answer them when I get to them. But it was, it was a lot. I do want to talk about the inheritance of trauma, because I swore I would never be like him. Yet his fingers were all over my teenage rebellion, the alcohol, the reckless sex, the flinch when kindness came too close. We don't escape our past. We either confront it or we repeat it. What destructive patterns feel familiar in a way that should terrify you? What are you replaying? Where are you replaying your old strategies, old survival strategies that no longer serve you? I'm not replaying anymore. I have one little thing I'm still working through, and it's a work in progress. So I say all that to say, your childhood does play a significant factor in your life, but it doesn't have to. There are workarounds. There are ways to heal yourself, and there are ways that you can invest in yourself to become the best version of you possible. So don't give up on that. Healing is a real thing. You have to put in the work. You have to do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can love you externally to make that healing go away. It's a you thing. So I say all that to say, let's move on to chapter 3.